Yeah, what was wrong with that picture? Very 2020, given how things are going on. However, despite that, I have a very exciting recap to talk about here. As you can probably see in the thumbnail, and the fact that I made that video yesterday about who do you want to draw, we did beat the Winnipeg Jets here. So anyway, it's time for another episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here. Welcome back to another episode of my Calgary Flames in the Stanley Cup Playoffs here. Season 2, episode number 16 there. And given if you probably see the thumbnail or you probably already know going into this video here, this will not be the last episode for Season 2 here, as now it's time to recap the play-in series that the Calgary Flames took on the Winnipeg Jets here, and we actually did defeat the Winnipeg Jets here. You can probably also look back on my preview video on some elements that I brought up here that could be a difference in the series here, and I'm going to say definitely two factors did favor the Calgary Flames with the matchup with the Winnipeg Jets here, or another way I could say it, because I still purposely got to wear my Atlanta Flames hat here. It was the Battle of Atlanta, as you had the former Flames, the Atlanta Flames, the now Calgary Flames. They defeated the former Atlanta Thrashers. They were now the current Winnipeg Jets here, and it was 3-1 in the best-of-5 series here. Also, we'll take a look at where we stand right now with the playoff picture in terms of games that are still left to play here, and potentially who we could play there. And I made that video pondering about who do you want to draw in the first round here, and actually what happened here is I recorded the video, and by the time I edited it, rendered it, and uploaded it here, a couple of teams were already eliminated based on other series that wrapped up here, and we'll take a look at the playoff picture here. So anyway, let's get to the task at hand here and recap the first round play-in series that the Calgary Flames had with the Winnipeg Jets here. But first, let's talk about the exhibition game, as each team had one exhibition game in the 2014 playoff here. That where they take on one exhibition game, tune-up game, before they started off either their respective play-in series or round robin here. So the case with the Calgary Flames here, on Tuesday, July the 28th here, the Calgary Flames were taking on the Edmonton Oilers, and that game was at 8:30 at Rogers Place, and it was actually the first game, full game in Rogers Place here in this bubble here. And crazily, as that picture that I showed at the beginning that the Calgary Flames put out there, actually the Calgary Flames were officially the home team for this game here. And it was also the first meeting since that February 1st game. Yeah, that game when, Cam Talbot and Mike Smith fought, all the craziness, and, that Battle of Alberta, we definitely lost potential because of what's been going on here. And no fans at the game here, but one thing definitely becomes apparent here is one particular player on the Edmonton Oilers. He definitely loves playing the Calgary Flames because he always has great games against Calgary Flames, but let's get to that here. That first in this game here, Edmonton strikes first in the opening minute, as is Keller Yamamoto here, one of the younger players here, to give Edmonton a 1-0 lead. Then Connor McDavid, yes, he loves playing the Calgary Flames, scores just past the 7.5 minute mark. So we had 2-0 Edmonton in this exhibition game, and then Edmonton takes a 2-0 lead after the first period here. And I'm going to say in this first period here, Edmonton definitely looked like the better team to start here. Second period, the Calgary Flames did pick up the play a bit for the Battle of Alberta, but this was tame by comparison. Given I think this is being an exhibition game after also 4.5 months of not playing, that probably was also another factor here, and no fans in the stands here. And then it was past the 13.5 minute mark. You could probably say this had the most rough stuff in this game, as Michael Stone, who actually was in this game, and Zach Granola for Calgary, as well as Edmonton's Gaten Haas and Josh Archibald, took penalties there all at the same time here. However, it was late in the second period. Calgary got a power play of an Adam Larson penalty, and then literally 4 seconds left in the second period here. Elias Lindholm gets Calgary on the board, so it was a 2-1 Edmonton game after the second period here. Calgary did actually outshot Edmonton in the second period. The first period it was Edmonton who had 69 in shots here, while Calgary outshot Edmonton 16-7 in period 2 here. Third period, Calgary did continue their strong play, but Edmonton sunk Calgary just past the 15.5 minute mark with 2 quick goals here, 33 seconds apart. First, it was Patrick Russell and then Connor McDavid again. Got his second of the game to make it 4-1, and Edmonton ultimately took this exhibition game 4-1 here. Calgary actually outshot Edmonton 37-30 overall here, and obviously Edmonton was led by Connor McDavid, who had 2 goals here. Patrick Russell had a goal and assist, and Oscar Kleppbaum chipped in with 2 assists there. Edmonton did start Mikko Koskinen in net and made 17 saves here, while Mick Smith took over midway, made 19 saves here. One question mark that Calgary was going to try to figure out in this game here, and as you'll get to lately, I think we made the right decision on who to go with in net here. Calgary's goaltending situation wasn't quite clear. They did start Cam Talbot in the net here. He made 19 saves, and he was in the net when Edmonton had their first period there where we got outshot here. He made 19 saves, while David Riddick took over halfway. He made 7 saves and 9 shots here, but he was in net during those 2 quick goals in the third period here. So that was the exhibition game, and before I get to the actual series here, let's just throw out the scores for the other exhibition games here. As on Tuesday, July the 28th here, both the games were at the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto for the other Hub City here. It was the Philadelphia Flyers 3-2 over the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime here, and the Philadelphia Flyers were the home team for that game. And then another crazy thing is, in the later game here, you had the Toronto Maple Leafs. They beat the Montreal Canadiens 4-2 here. However, the Montreal Canadiens were the home team in Toronto here. So that was with the exhibition games for the Tuesday, and then the game we just talked about here, the Calgary-Edmonton game where Edmonton beat Calgary 4-1. That was the first game that was played in Edmonton with the Hub City here. And then on Wednesday, July the 29th here, I'm going to say the Philadelphia-Pittsburgh game was 2 p.m. and the Toronto-Montreal game was at 6 p.m. if I didn't get the times there all mountain. Wednesday, July 29th here, you had the Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Florida Panthers 5-0 here. Florida was the home team for that game. Scotiabank Arena where that game happened, and it was a 10 a.m. puck drop here. And then the Colorado Avalanche beat the Minnesota Wild 3-2 here. The Minnesota Wild was considered the home team here. That was a 12:30 puck drop at Rogers Place. And then the Washington Capitals beat the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2 here. Washington was the home team there, and that game was at the Scotiabank Arena with a 2 p.m. puck drop here. And then the Chicago Blackhawks shut out the St. Louis Blues 4-0. Chicago was the home team there, and it was at Rogers Place. 4:30 puck drop there. And then the late games here, you had the New York Islanders beat the New York Rangers 2-1 here. The New York Rangers were the home team for that game. That game was at the Scotiabank Arena with a 6 p.m. puck drop here. And then the last game for Wednesday, you had the Winnipeg Jets beat the Vancouver Canucks 4-1 here. Winnipeg was considered the home team. That was 8:30 at Rogers Place. And then the last exhibition games that happened on Thursday, July the 29th here, you had the Nashville Predators shout out the Dallas Stars 2-0. Dallas was considered the home team there, and that was at 2 p.m. puck drop at Rogers Place. And then you had the Columbus Blue Jackets beating the Boston Bruins 4-1 here, and Columbus was considered the home team there, and it was a 5 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Arena. And then the last exhibition game before we got into the actual playoffs here was the Vegas Golden Knights beat the Arizona Coyotes 4-1 here. That was an 8 p.m. puck drop at Rogers Place, and Arizona was the home team there. So that's just a quick recap of all the exhibition games and just capture all those games and where they were played here. So now let's get to the actual series here. So game one was happened on Saturday, August 1st here. Calgary Flames were considered the home team as they were the 8th seed taking on the 9th seed here. And Calgary, ultimately, we didn't know until the start of this game here that the Calgary Flames were going to give the nod to Cam Talbot. There was no doubt Winnipeg was going to go with Connor Hellebuyck. So Cam Talbot got the start in net there. First period, I felt Winnipeg actually started off strong. But Calgary was establishing their physical play early there. Including Matthew Tkachuk here. He was banging everybody inside on the opening shift there. And he was talking to Blake Wheeler on the opening faceoff in game one here. So Calgary was definitely starting off their physical play here, showing that that's how we want to play if we were to go into win the series here. And definitely Matthew Tkachuk definitely became more of a storyline here. As that Matthew Tkachuk just past the 5-minute mark, it was a play in the in their own end, Winnipeg end there, that Mark Scheifele and Matthew Tkachuk was going at the boards here, and it looked like Mark Scheifele was going to try to attempt to avoid the hit from Matthew Tkachuk here. However, he fell awkwardly there, and it looked like Matthew Tkachuk was actually slipping a little bit on that play there where his skate went up there, and some were debating on was Matthew Tkachuk really going after his ankle there. And it looked like Mark Scheifele, hurt his ankle on that play there as he needed to get helped off the ice there, and couldn't put weight on that ankle that he twisted there in the game there. And ultimately, that was one of their top scorers early in game one there that the Winnipeg Jets lost and got taken out of the game here, and that definitely was the storyline of the game here. There was no penalty on the play. There was no fine. There was no supplemental discipline because it was accidental. Most hockey fans agreed that was accidental. But because it was Matthew Tkachuk that did it, that what brings the controversy here. I mean, if it was Sean Monahan or Johnny Gaudreau in there, it would just be like, oh, it's just an accident. But that was the first big play of the series there, the first big storyline that came up here. And then a few minutes later, Matthew Tkachuk and Blake Wheeler definitely fought there. As Matthew Tkachuk was answering the bell for the captain, Blake Wheeler there. And then, as I mentioned, they were talking in the opening faceoff here. However, despite all that here, Andrew Kopp of the Winnipeg Jets did open up the scoring in the series here for the Winnipeg Jets just before the 9-minute mark. And Winnipeg led 1-0 here. I would say after the 10-minute mark, because I say the first 10 minutes of game one here, Winnipeg looked like the better team here, and it just felt like it was almost a matter of time. Winnipeg was going to get the goal there. As I mentioned, Andrew Kopp just got it over Cam Talbot there in the face-off circle there. That it felt like Winnipeg definitely was going to be rallying around losing Mark Scheifele here. However, did Calgary pick up their play after the first period, but it was still 1-0 Winnipeg after the first period here. However, it felt like this was going to be that close physical matchup that I anticipated if you look at my review there. Second period, Winnipeg did give Calgary a couple penalties, giving them a power play time here, as definitely Winnipeg definitely got in some penalty. There was a lot of penalties in this game given the physical nature, but Calgary definitely took advantage of the power play in this game here. As if you look back in my preview there, special teams could potentially be a storyline, and I would say definitely was here. So Calgary had some power play time, and it was past the 7-minute mark on the power play that Johnny Gaudreau ties it up, lifting one over the rebound on Connor Hellebuyck to tie the game at 1-1. And Johnny Gaudreau, you could definitely see he was relieved, and he felt good getting that goal there because he was one of the players that could be under the microscope here, considering how this series turned out here. So Calgary tied the game up at 1-1 here, and then later in the period, in fact, we were shorthanded. It was Tobias Reeder who picked up the puck after Winnipeg shot it in the Calgary end, and it bounced out to center ice here, and Tobias Reeder on a breakaway scores to give Calgary a 2-1 lead here. And then late in the second period on a Cody Eakin penalty that was drawn by Matthew Tkachuk here, of all people, puts Calgary on another power play, and it was Michael Backlund who scores for Calgary on that power play, and Calgary has a 3-1 lead after the second period here. So after Winnipeg scoring first in the first period here, Calgary scored 3 goals in the second period, 2 on the power play, 1 shorthanded, all in special teams here, to now take the 3-1 lead, because at this point here it looked like Calgary was the better team here. Third period, Winnipeg did try to get back in it with 3 power plays, but Calgary kept the play outside for much of the game here. And after the first 10 minutes of the game, Calgary definitely suppressed the Winnipeg's offense here. It also didn't help that they lost a couple key players there, as I mentioned it. And then late in the third period with the goalie pulled here, it was Andrew Mangiapane that puts it in the empty net on a Matthew Perreault turnover in their own end here to make it 4-1, and Calgary takes game one of this best of 5 4-1 here. However, Winnipeg was upset on the Matthew Tkachuk play, and definitely, if you saw that Paul Maurice, soundbite there. I mean, both coaches are going to defend their player. I mean, Jeff Ward defended Matthew Tkachuk, and Paul Maurice. I mean, it's all that strategy. I mean, the coach is not going to say, oh yeah, that was just a little accident. I mean, not in a playoff format here, but that was definitely the storyline here. And then also, not only they lost Mike Scheifele, they also lost Patrick Laine here. So I saw that he had a battle with Sam Bennett and Mark Giordano there and was saving a wrist there. So Winnipeg lost Mark Scheifele and Patrick Laine in Game 1 here, which was a big part of their offense, which definitely, you could say, turned out to be a storyline in the series here. Calgary actually outshot Winnipeg 33-18 overall here. So two elements of this game that kind of reminds me of the Flames in the past here. There was a little bit of 2004 and 2015 with this Flames team. As in the 2004 part was how Calgary was able to keep their opponent to under 20 shots. That was one of the things that made Calgary successful in 2004 there, and getting contributions throughout the whole lineup here. And actually, Calgary did battle injuries in that player front. And then 2015, let's replace Matthew Tkachuk with Michael Furlan, and let's place the Winnipeg Jets with the Vancouver Canucks here. Michael Furlan definitely was an impact in that series and being a pest and a physical presence here. But this game definitely showed that Calgary was ready to play here and wanted to, prove some doubters wrong. That after last season's brief cameo with the Colorado Avalanche, Calgary wants to shake off some playoff demons here. And that's how I felt just after that first game here. And then Andrew Mangiapane for Calgary led the way with a goal and assist, but Calgary had contributions throughout the lineup, and Matthew Tkachuk did his thing being a pest here, and you could probably say he definitely got under the skin here, and that was his role here. Cam Talbot, he made 17 saves for Calgary, while Connor Hellebuyck made 30 saves for Winnipeg here. Here's another funny tidbit here is that Winnipeg hates Tkachuk as in Matthew Tkachuk here. However, they had Keith Tkachuk, his dad, when the original Winnipeg Jets there, so that's just another conflicting there too. So that was Game 1, as Calgary was up 1-0 with a 4-1 victory here. So Game 2, it's happened on Monday, August the 3rd here. Once again, Calgary was the home team in this series here. This time, the game started at 12:30 in the afternoon at Rogers Place here, and obviously the big storyline in this game is how is Winnipeg going to respond after losing Mark Scheifele and Patrick Laine here. First period, I say both teams came out strong, but Winnipeg had a little more chip on the shoulder, knowing that if they want to play with the Calgary Flames, that they would need to pick up their physical play here. And then just like Game 1 here, Winnipeg actually did score first here. As it was Jensen Harkins opens up the scoring just past the 7-minute mark. Winnipeg had a 1-0 lead going into the first period, after the first period here. That was very similar to Game 1 here, but I felt this game, both teams felt a little more balanced in play here, so I didn't feel like anyone in particular really came out in front in the first period here. But in the second period here, Calgary definitely got into some penalty trouble early in the second period here. Both TJ Brody and Zach Rinaldo, they took penalties at the same time here, so Calgary was down by 2 here. However, they actually were able to kill off being down 5-3 here. But shortly after that, it was Winnipeg who made it 2-0 here. So I felt Winnipeg definitely picked up their play in the second period and felt they were the better team here. And it was shortly after the power play expired here, it was Adam Lowry who scores past the 5.5-minute mark to make it 2-0 for the Winnipeg Jets here. And the one thing to note here, I didn't look it up until it was brought up here. Adam Lowry actually is the son of Dave Lowry, who, Dave Lowry definitely played for the Calgary Flames, was captain of the Flames at one time, and also was coaching with the Calgary Edmonton, and was one of the coaching staff of the Calgary Flames here. So definitely interesting note there too. And then what it looked like Winnipeg was going to take all the momentum and the game over here, Calgary actually pressed back later in the second period here. It was Elias Lindholm who scores to make it 2-1 at the 11.5-minute mark. And then Sam Bennett. I definitely going to have to say, despite, Sam Bennett not quite living up to his 4th overall status here, I think we definitely got to make a case to try to keep him and find a way to protect him away from the Seattle Kraken, or make a trade to not pick him here. He definitely comes up big in the playoffs here, as that he ties it up at the 17.5-minute mark. So now we have a 2-2 game going into the third period here. And this is definitely a pivotal game here, in a pivotal period here, because Calgary got to be up 2-0 here, with Winnipeg facing elimination. or it could be squared up at 1 here, facing up a pivotal game 3 here. Third period, the game was up for grabs. Both sides were looking for the go-ahead goal. And actually, first, Milan Lucic, I would say another player, despite some of the penalties he took, he definitely had a great series here. He definitely had a great chance, but he could not connect on it. And then just before the midway mark of the third period here, Mark Giordano definitely took a little bit of a dirty penalty here on a dangerous slide on Adam Lowry here. So then Calgary was shorthanded here. And then on that power play, Winnipeg scores the go-ahead goal to go up 3-2 here on Nicholas Ehlers' goal. Definitely more chippy play happened on both sides as Winnipeg looked like they were going to play to hang on here too. Because after Winnipeg scored that goal here, it felt like Winnipeg was trying to play it safe here, but Calgary kept pushing back and they were looking for that tying goal late here. And in fact, they pulled the goalie here. And then Calgary actually had a late power play here. But they could not get that tying goal here. So ultimately, the Winnipeg Jets won Game 2, 3-2, to tie things up at 1-1 here, forcing at least 4 games. And things are squared up now. As I felt, Winnipeg definitely responded and answered back after losing their top players here and showing that they could too play the physical game with the Calgary Flames here. Calgary did outshoot Winnipeg 30-26 in Game 2 here, so Winnipeg definitely was able to get more shots on net here, unlike Game 1 here. Winnipeg was definitely led by Adam Lowry with a goal and assist there, and Jack Roslick had 2 assists for the Winnipeg Jets there. There were no Flames that had multi-point games to highlight here, and then Cam Talbot, he made 23 saves for Calgary, while Connor Hellebuyck made 28 saves for Winnipeg here. So I'd say both goalies still look pretty good at times in Game 2 here, so that sets up Game 3 here, which whoever wins this game could potentially force an elimination game in Game 4 here. Keep in mind it's a best of 5 here. On Tuesday, August the 4th here, now the Winnipeg Jets are officially declared the home team here. And this game was at 4:45 puck drop at Rogers Place here. So you had a late game and an early afternoon game and then the back-to-back with the game starting, in between afternoon and night here. As each team will have some back-to-backs depending on how their series goes, same with the round robin here. And as obviously a chance for one team to go up 2-1 here. I would say definitely now with the stakes being a little higher here, the game definitely was a little less chippy for both sides, but both teams came out strong here. And just like the previous 2 games here, the Winnipeg Jets did score the first goal as Nicholas Ehlers scores his second of the series here, just past the midway mark of the first period here. So Winnipeg led 1-0 here. However, Calgary did respond very quickly as Winnipeg took a penalty right after that goal here, and literally 18 seconds after the Ehlers goal, Elias Lindholm ties it up for Calgary to make it 1-1 here, and that was his second of the series here. So it was a 1-1 game after the first period. So that's what the one thing that's been different here. As the first 2 games, Winnipeg did score first, but had a 1-0 lead here. This time it's tied at 1-1 after the first period here. Second period, Calgary was able to get the first lead of the game. First, Michael Backlund got his second of the series, just past the 5.5 minute mark. And then Sean Monahan, he also showed up here, just on the power play just over 2 minutes later. And now Calgary had a 3-1 lead here. However, in between the Michael Backlund and the Sean Monahan goal here, it looked like Milan Lucic scored 53 seconds after the Michael Backlund go-ahead goal there. However, Winnipeg challenged goaltender interference, and it was ruled that there was goaltender interference, that Dylan Dubé interfered with Connor Hellebuyck there, so that wiped out that goal here. But then, I guess you could say getting that Sean Monahan goal to make it 3-1, there kind of wipes that out here. So, however, after that, mention that note there, Calgary makes it 3-1 here. However, Winnipeg did answer back on their own 20 seconds later. So after Calgary made 3-1 here, Winnipeg answered back here as Andrew Kopp got his second goal of the series here, as Andrew Kopp scored the first goal of the series for both sides here, to make it 3-2 for Calgary at this point here. Then past the 12.5 minute mark, Matthew Tkachuk, the Winnipeg Jets' favorite player, scores to make it 4-2 here, and then Calgary led 4-2 after the second period, appearing to be in control of the game and potentially go up 2-1 in the series here. Third period, Winnipeg did press back a bit. However, it was Dylan DeMello that took a tripping penalty on Matthew Tkachuk of all people. Man, this Tkachuk guy, he's definitely all over the place here, making an impact. And then it was Milan Lucic. In fact, he did get a goal, and this time it counted. This time on the power play, at the 8.5-minute mark to make it a 5-2 game for Calgary. And definitely was looking apparent that Calgary was going to go up 2-1 here. And then Johnny Gaudreau did get one in the empty net with just 2.5 minutes left as Winnipeg pulled the goalie there. As Calgary takes this one 6-2 and now lead the best of 5 play-in series 2-1 here. So definitely the Calgary Flames definitely made a statement in this game, and this was definitely a dominant game overall, despite the fact that Winnipeg just had a slight, edge in shots here, 35-32 here. Winnipeg still without Mark Scheifele, and Patrick Laine was also a factor here. They also didn't have Mason Appleton in their lineup here too, so Winnipeg definitely has had some injury issues in the series here that definitely turned out to be the storyline here. But the Calgary Flames took advantage here, and Calgary was led by Sean Monahan with a goal and 2 assists here. Elias Lindholm, Johnny Gaudreau, and Michael Backlund all each had a goal and assist. And then Andrew Mangiapane, another player that I'm going to say has benefited after when we traded Michael Frolik to the Buffalo Sabres. Andrew Mangiapane has definitely found a nice spot in the top 6 here, and he definitely had a great series too. You could probably say he's a light version of Matthew Tkachuk in terms of the physical play. He had 2 assists there, and then when it comes to the goaltending, well, Cam Talbot definitely had the better game in net here, as he made 33 saves for Calgary, while Connor Hellebuyck, he only made 26 saves. He was just ordinary there. So Game 4, this sets up the elimination game. This happened on Thursday, August the 6th here, as Winnipeg once again was declared the home team. This game wound up being an 8:30 puck drop at Rogers Place here, as we didn't know at the preview what time this game was going to be, so this wound up being a late game. And obviously, with Calgary up 2-1 in the best of 5 series here, Calgary's looking to advance for a win and win their first playoff series since 2015 when the Calgary Flames beat the Vancouver Canucks 4-2 in 2015 in the first round against the Vancouver Canucks here. 2 seconds in the game, Milan Lucic for Calgary and Nathan Beaulieu for Winnipeg fought to set a tone here. So definitely Winnipeg wanted to set a tone here with fighting here, and Milan Lucic said, sure, I'll fight here. However, that doesn't seem to matter as much here, because then Calgary, for the first time in the series, actually scored first here, and that actually was Dylan Dubé. Got his first goal of the playoffs, first of the game here for Calgary at the 3.5-minute mark. So Calgary was up 1-0 earlier after the fight that Milan Lucic won, by the way. And definitely the rest of the period was even, but Sam Bennett definitely came up big again here. You could probably say he scored the dagger here, because it looked like, both teams are going to go to the locker room with Calgary up 1-0 here. However, Sam Bennett made it 2-0 here with literally 0.7 seconds left on the clock here to give Calgary a 2-0 lead going into the locker room. And I think that was definitely a dagger too. That if it was 1-0 Calgary going into the first intermission here, it probably would have been a different game here. But with Sam Bennett scoring with literally 0.7 seconds left in the period here to make it 2-0 here, I think that definitely deflated the Winnipeg Jets here as well. I mean, that's just psychologically, especially when you always allow that goal late there. That always happens in hockey here. So this was looking good for Calgary in an elimination game where we would win and advance here. That's another thing that's definitely untraditional for the Calgary Flames. Being a fan all my life here is that we tend to like to make things a little harder than it needs to be here. I mean, even in 1989 when we won the Stanley Cup, that series shouldn't have gone to get 7 games, and it went to Game 7 in overtime there, and that was close, too close. But I don't think there was definitely no drama in this game to eliminate the Winnipeg Jets and at least get into the first round playoffs here. Second period, there was no scoring, so it still was 2-0 for Calgary here. But Calgary definitely continued what they've been doing all series, outplaying and out-physicaling the Winnipeg Jets here. So Winnipeg Jets, that isn't their strong point, is in the physical play, as Calgary definitely used that to their advantage here. So Calgary just needed to stay ahead for 21 minutes and to get into the first round of the playoffs here. Winnipeg did press back in the third period, and the play was outside, or Cam Talbot was able to make big saves here. I mean, obviously Winnipeg knowing that they have to pick it up or they're going to be done. But ultimately what happened here is that Calgary still was up 2-0 late in the third period here. With the final 3 minutes left here, Winnipeg Jets did pull their goalie with under 4 minutes to go here. However, Calgary was able to really put it away here, as Sean Monahan puts it away, as Sean Monahan gets the second of the series before the 17-minute mark to put it in the empty net here. So it was 3-0 Calgary at this point here. And then Winnipeg pulled the goalie again after the play got into the Calgary end. But it was Rasmus Andersson who actually in some way got redemption here, because Rasmus Andersson tried a long empty net goal that just missed here. He got it this time as he got into the Winnipeg end, put in the empty net here. It was 19 seconds later after the Sean Monahan's second of the series in empty netter here to make it 4-0 here, which essentially sealed the series here. So after this, those two empty netters, it was just a matter of could Calgary pitch the shutout for Cam Talbot here, and in fact they did, as Calgary was able to keep Winnipeg at bay, and the Calgary Flames did beat the Winnipeg Jets and shut them out in style here with a 4-0 win, and to take the best of 5 play-in series, or Stanley Cup Qualifier it's called here, 3-1 here. So the Calgary Flames are now one of the 16 teams remaining. One of the 16 that's remaining, that the dream is still alive for the Stanley Cup here. Calgary did outshot Winnipeg 34-31 overall, including 19-8 in the second period here. And as they definitely, the early goal, the late goal by Sam Bennett in the first period here, and a strong play in the second period there in the way Cam Talbot. And you could say that Cam Talbot that we have right now is the Cam Talbot the Edmonton Oilers had in 2017 there, that he looks like he is one of the better goalies in the league here. So I'm definitely feeling good about the Calgary Flames overall here and how they played against the Winnipeg Jets here. And we'll take a look at the player stats here in the series here, that is definitely a lot more encouraging than last year after the Colorado Avalanche here. As I say, Calgary outshot Winnipeg 34-31, including 19-8 in the second period. Calgary was led by Sean Monahan and Sam Bennett here with a goal and assist each here. Cam Talbot made 31 saves in the shutout for the win, while Connor Hellebuyck, he made 30 saves for Winnipeg there. Keep in mind 2 goals. He wasn't in net here. So as I say, the Flames win the series 3-1 here. So let's take final thoughts on the series here. I mean, obviously, the big factors on why the Calgary Flames won this series here was because we definitely had contributions, not only with our top line, but all 4 lines definitely chipped in here. Because, we got 5 players that at least got 2 goals. You had Sean Monahan, Michael Backlund, Elias Lindholm, John Goodrow, and Sam Bennett. Each all had 2 goals in this series here. You also get goals from Mangiapane, Lucic even scored a goal. Heck, Tobias Rieder. I mean, all the former Oilers that we got. Rieder scored a showing goal. Lucic definitely made impacts in the series here. And Cam Talbot. We definitely made the right decision on Cam Talbot. He definitely stood up to Connor Hellebuyck here. But ultimately, why the Calgary Flames able to beat the Winnipeg Jets here was because we got to play our game, be more physical here. It also did, unfortunately, help for the cause that Mark Scheifele and Patrick Laine got hurt and did not play in the series after Game 1 here. And then also, setting up plays here, because the assists there, actually Sean Monahan led the series with assists, with 4 assists. Angie Mangiapane, Lucic, and Garrett Gustafson. The one player that we picked up from Chicago at the deadline there, all had 3 assists on the series there. And then Noah Hannafin definitely had 2 assists there. So like I say, the point leader was Sean Monahan. He had 6 points in 4 games. Definitely did not get that last year against the Colorado Avalanche. Angie Mangiapane and Milan Lucic each had 4 points in this series here. And Michael Backlund, Elias Lindholm, Johnny Goodrow, he had 3 points, as well as Sam Bennett and Garrett Gustafson here. So the point is that we definitely have had contributions throughout the lineup here. And then when it comes to goaltending here, if I find the goaltending here, well, Cam Talbot in the playoffs here so far, he's 3-1 in the 4 games here, with a goals against average of 151 and a save percentage of 945. So I'm going to say Cam Talbot, he definitely stood up to Connor Hellebuyck, and the fact that we got contributions throughout the lineup, all 4 lineups. Definitely our big players showed up here, and I did mention in the preview that I felt if Calgary, let's say, laid another egg or took a stinky dump against the Winnipeg Jets like they did against the Colorado Avalanche here, I think there could have been some potential changes here. But the Calgary Flames definitely played with a chip on the shoulders, even though we were the higher seeded team over the Winnipeg Jets here. The general consensus was from hockey experts and many other YouTubers on this platform here more people picked Winnipeg was going to advance over Calgary here. And then I just felt, given how the season went for the Flames, I mean, this isn't an upset because of the 8-9 year, but definitely, given how dominant the Flames were, and this gets me, feeling good about going into the first round here, and that's just my final thoughts here. So let's take a look at where things are at with the playoffs here, because I made that video yesterday talking about who do we want to play in the first round here, and then what I did in that video is I ranked teams based on strength of opponent, and then I ranked it on juicy storylines here. However, then things happened where series wrapped up and some upsets actually happened here. That we are either going to be playing the Dallas Stars or the St. Louis Blues. That's what's going to be guaranteed who the Calgary Flames are going to play here. Because if we take a look at the standings here, shall we? When it comes to the playoffs here, it's let me bring it up here. Well, first, let's recap the series first. All throughout the league here, because there's only one more playing series that needs a Game 5, and that's the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Toronto Maple Leafs there. They're tied at 2, obviously, here. That's definitely been an interesting payback series there. So that's the only series that needs 5 games here. But the Montreal Canadiens, they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 3-1 at 12-5 there. And then the Carolina Hurricanes, they swept the New York Rangers 3-0 here, so basically season series meant nothing here. And then the New York Islanders, they easily beat the Florida Panthers 3-1 here. And then I mentioned the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to need a Game 5 to decide that series here. And then out west here, it's kind of funny to enjoy it right now, but wait till the draft lottery here. But the Chicago Blackhawks, they upset the Edmonton Oilers 3-1 here, so 12-5 advancing here. And then another, you could probably say an upset here, the Arizona Coyotes defeated the Nashville Predators 3-1 here, so that's an 11-6, 11 advancing over 6 here. And then the Vancouver Canucks, they did take care of the Minnesota Wild 3-1 here. So of the qualifying teams, and then the Calgary Flames obviously beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-1 here. So when you look at the potential seeding here, well, the round robin, as of this recording here, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Pittsburgh Penguins 1 and 2 here, and they play each other. So one of those two teams are going to be finishing first here. So whoever wins between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Pittsburgh, or the Philadelphia Flyers, I should say here, the winner of that, whoever gets 1, will take on the Montreal Canadiens here. And then you got Washington and Boston here. They'll play each other here. They'll get to figure out 3 and 4 there as they play each other. So we know at least where the round robins are, that Washington and Boston would play 3 and 4 there. So we definitely know that the winner of the Tampa Bay Philadelphia will be taking on the Montreal Canadiens here, and then the whoever finishes third or fourth, or whoever finishes third would take on the Carolina Hurricanes there. I should say whoever finishes fourth actually would take on the Carolina Hurricanes here. There still could potentially be a potential for I'm thinking no Philadelphia or Tampa Bay would be playing Toronto, so I was thinking no potential for Tampa Bay or Toronto Boston here. But then when it comes to the Western Conference here, well, the Colorado Avalanche and the Vegas Golden Knights, they're both 1 and 2, 2-0, and they play each other here. And then I mentioned the St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars. They're 0 and 2 here. They play each other, but not until the next day here. So we're not going to know until the next day who the Calgary Flames play and what the schedule is going to be. So that's when I'll release my first round preview here. So whoever wins between Colorado and Vegas here will take on, the winner will take on Chicago, while the loser will take on the Arizona Coyotes here. And then the winner of the St. Louis-Dallas round-robin game, the winner of that will take on the Calgary Flames. Actually, no, the winner will take on, I'm just trying to think in my top of my head here. No, the winner will take on the Calgary Flames, while the loser will take on the Vancouver Canucks there, because Calgary would be the lower seeded here, so I think that's what I understand off the top of my head here. So I'm just doing it on the fly here. So that's where things stand when it comes to the playoff picture here. I waited until at least all those games on Friday were in the books here, and definitely was a good thing here. But that's been the crazy playoffs here. There's definitely been some upsets here, and definitely it's going to be a fairly new series. When we either take on the St. Louis Blues or the Dallas Stars here, because the Calgary Flames have only taken on the St. Louis Blues once in their playoff history. That goes back to 1986 in the conference championship there, when the Calgary Flames did beat the St. Louis Blues in 7 games to advance to their first Stanley Cup final there. While the Calgary Flames have never played the Dallas Stars as the Dallas Stars, but they have played that franchise as the Minnesota North Stars. If you go all the way back to 1981, finally that was also in the conference championship there, the first year that the Flames were in Calgary. The Calgary Flames lost to the Minnesota North Stars, I believe it was in 6 games. So that's the only history that the Calgary Flames will have with those 2 teams here. But whenever we know for sure who we draw and the schedule here, that's when I'll come out with my first round preview of either the Calgary Flames will take on the Dallas Stars or the St. Louis Blues here. So as long as when I'm rendering and editing this video here, I'll be able to pull out numbers for both series there and be prepared and then come up with a schedule here. So yeah, the Calgary Flames will be moving on into the official first round of playoffs here. We started off with 24 teams. Now we're going to get down to 16 teams. So 16 teams still have the dream alive on winning the Stanley Cup here. And good thing the Flames are one of those 16 teams here. So what do you think of the series here? I mean, are you kind of surprised? How are you feeling about how the Flames perform and where we look here? And I definitely feel a little more confident in whoever we draw here. And maybe we could pull off an upset in the first round here and get down into further in the playoffs here. Set up to do something that we thought we would do last year, but we didn't. So as I say, planned videos are still planned here. Well, obviously there's going to be 2 more episodes, the first round preview and recap here. And obviously I'll keep repeating that until we win the Stanley Cup, right? And I dare dream. And then other videos I plan to make, well, I did make my pre-bracket challenge predictions there, and definitely is a lot of upsets happen. But I will make my playoff preview or playoff predictions when the NHL has a bracket challenge. Once all the matchups are set here, maybe my mind could be changed based on what's happened in the round robin and the play-in series on who I think will ultimately will meet and win the Stanley Cup here. But we'll see with that here. So that's all I can give for recapping the first round play-in series with the Winnipeg Jets here. Or I also say the Battle of Atlanta, the former Flames and the former Thrashers here. The Atlanta Flames beat the Atlanta Thrashers 3-1 here. So go Flames. Hey. So anyway, as I say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders here. Just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I mostly talk Calgary sports and other sports on my channel here, and it definitely feels good to talk about games that actually have happened, and of course games that happened that we came out on the right end more often than not and winning a series. It's definitely great to be doing that, even in the first full week of August here. But these are very unusual times here. But when we're using the Edmonton Oilers locker room as their, and we're going to continue using their locker room at least for one more series here. And who knows? Maybe we'll win the Stanley Cup and we'll celebrate in their locker room. How 2020 would that be? I mean, would be just as sweet as a couple years ago when the Calgary Stampeders celebrated winning the Grey Cup in the Eskimos locker room, which now they're called the Edmonton football team until they come up with a new name here for other reasons. But this has definitely been fun, crazy, and insane at the same time. But given what's been going on with COVID-19, I'm just glad that there's some sports back here. And the Flames, what they're doing is making 2020 at least a little less crappy of a year up to this point here, but I'm encouraged here. Other things I also do on my channel is personal vlogs, attempt at comedy, and I also do share my experiences I'm on the road as a sport event here. So if all sounds like be interested to watch to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what to do. Just make sure you like, subscribe. I'll set my other social media links down in the description below here. So thanks for watching up to this point here, and as I say, give me your thoughts and feelings on what happened in the series here. I mean, definitely we won in the physical play there. Definitely special teams won, because I looked in the preview there. There was a mismatch with our power play and their penalty kill here, and definitely took advantage of it at times here. Also, I mean, unfortunately for Mark Scheifele and Patrick Laine, and that was also another factor there, and them getting injured there, but Winnipeg wasn't able to make up for their injuries there, and they couldn't beat us at our physical game here. So as I say here, go Flames go, and stay tuned for my first round playoff preview of either the Dallas Stars or the St. Louis Blues, and then at least I'll have 2 more episodes. The preview for the first round and the recap here. Hopefully we'll win that and keep season 2 going on here. So anyway, I'll see you in the next video, and go Flames go!